once upon a time, I was the host for a guest workshop by the great guitar player Duke Robillard. And so I got to sit and watch him up close, explaining what he did and how he did it. And he had all of these really beautiful chord moves that he did. And they weren't just comping chord moves. They were what I've come to think of as chord melody moves. I know that's kind of a term that people use for jazz arrangements, but when you see someone like Duke, who's so fluent in both swing and blues, play, you realize he's taking this idea of harmonizing a melody, supporting it with cool chord voicings, and he's applying it to playing over the blues form, and it just sounds incredible. In this lesson, I'm going to just show you one example that is based off of a move that I watched Duke Robillard play and teach, and just a way to use it to get from the 4 chord back to the 1 chord. So it's a great sound for the middle part of a blues, the middle 4 bars of the 12-bar blues progression. All right, so the idea is, after the first 4 bars of the blues, you come to the 4 chord and you've got the 4 chord, maybe sharp 4 diminished, and back to 1. And then eventually that's where you're going to hang until you get to the 5. So we've got basically a bar of 4, maybe a bar of sharp 4 diminished, and then 2 bars of the 1 chord before getting to the 5. So here's how we're going to dress that up and make it sound melodic while still being supported by the chords. For the 4 chord, we're going to start off on an E flat 9 chord, just on the top 4 strings. So the 3rd, the flat 7, the 9, and the 5th. And then we're going to go to an E flat 6 chord, which is a really cool voicing that you don't hear a lot in more traditional blues kind of playing, but it's really common in swing and western swing and other styles. And so here we've got the 3rd and the 6th and the root and the 5th. And then from there we can keep this common tone on top and go to a diminished chord. This is like going from E flat to E diminished, only we're going from E flat 6 to E diminished. Here you can see that there's the E, which makes it an E diminished chord. But what also makes this work is we got this common tone on top, B flat. So this is a common tone diminished chord that will resolve to B flat because it has a B flat in it itself. So we get E flat 6, E diminished, and then we can go to this B flat chord, which is a B flat 6-9 voicing. So we have the 6 and the, I gotta go careful here so I get all the notes right. Here's the 6, here's the 9, here's the 5th, and here's the root. So the root, you'd have this in the bass here. And that is a pretty jazzy sounding chord, but it goes by pretty quickly, and in context, it makes a lot of sense. That's how it resolves, and that is the specific chord lick that's at the heart of this, which is the one that I learned from watching Duke in that workshop. Now that in and of itself is a lot of common tone action. Very sort of static on top, but you do have that rhythm going on, that sort of riff rhythm, and then you hear all those inner voices moving against the top voice, which is a really cool effect. But if we want a little more motion, when we get back to the B flat, we can go from here, which is kind of nice, and that gives us this bluesy phrase on top, and we're harmonizing it like this. So we're thinking, here's B flat 13 with the flat 7, the 3rd, the 13, and the root. But we start off up here, half stepping up. This is, you can think of this as just a half step up, like T-Bone Walker, just B going down to B flat. Or you can think of this as F 7 sharp 9 flat 13, right? This would be the 3rd and the flat 7 and the sharp 9 and the flat 13. But this voicing here resolves back to this one. And then we can jump back up, and then we can slide down. So first we have this, and then we go down to B flat with the root on top. Then we go back up, same voicing, and now we slide down and keep the 9 on top. And so in slow motion we have 1 and 2, which is how we harmonize which is pretty cool. So if we put all that back together, we've now got bars 5, 6, 7, and 8, all with this chord melody style. So we'd have this. And then we could get to the 5 chord by doing a set of chromatic moves from E flat 9 to E9 to F9. So all together, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and. Like that. So that's one way to use this chord melody style to get from the 4 chord back to the 1 chord. And you can use this as part of an entire chorus of chord melody blues, or just as a moment on 4-1 in the middle of a single note solo, which would also sound really cool. Now, these are just a few of the voicings and a few of the many, many moves I will be going over in much more detail in my upcoming Chord Melody Blues workshop, which is happening on Saturday, June 29th. And you can learn all about that and sign up at the link below. In the meantime, if you've got a question about today's lesson, leave it for me down below. I'd love to hear from you. And as always, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.